All right, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a huge question for anyone building, well, anything really. Are you just profiling the people who visit your site, or are you actually trying to understand them? It really boils down to this. Are you asking who, or are you asking why? And that difference, as we're about to see, can change absolutely everything.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You've got all this data, right? Your website analytics, your CRM, numbers pouring in telling you what people are clicking on, where they're coming from. But is that data really telling you the whole story? Is it giving you the insights you actually need to make big decisions?
So to really get a handle on this, we're going to unpack the story of a software company, a company that used all its data to zero in on what they thought were their most valuable customers. They built their entire roadmap around them, and there was just one tiny problem. They were completely, fundamentally wrong, and we're going to find out exactly why.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds here. This whole story really comes down to two totally different ways of thinking, and they're represented by two different kinds of tools. On one side, you have the who, which is all about profiling your visitors. And on the other, you have the why, which is about truly understanding your users.
Let's just break this down real quick. On one hand, you've got a tool like Delve AI. It takes all your existing data, your web analytics, your CRM, and it automatically creates profiles of your visitors. On the other hand, Atypica generates brand new data by conducting deep interviews to get to the heart of what motivates people. See the difference? One describes who's already showing up, the other discovers why they decided to show up in the first place.
So let's look a little closer at Delve AI. Its whole game is speed and automation. It just chews through all the numbers you already have to give you these data-driven profiles of the people hitting your site, the who. It is a super powerful way to get a snapshot of your audience, like right now.
And this is the kind of thing it spits out. A persona. Let's call him Technical Manager Mark. We know his age, his industry, we know he checked out the pricing page 3 times, and his main pain point seems to be project management. And look, this is useful stuff. It gives you a great target for your next marketing campaign. But does it really tell you what Mark actually needs?
Now, let's completely flip the script and talk about Atypica. Instead of just looking at the data you have, it's designed to go out and create new data. It uses AI to run these incredibly deep interviews that get way beyond just surface-level behavior to uncover the real motivations, the why.
And boom, this is the kind of insight you get. It's a total game changer. Atypica finds out the real problem isn't project management. It's that Mark's team is bleeding productivity because their current tool doesn't talk to their other dev tools. That context switching is killing them. You see that? The who told us his job title. The why uncovered his multi-thousand-dollar problem.
Okay, so let's get back to that SaaS company from the beginning. They were standing at this exact same crossroads, trying to choose between the who and the why. And the path they ended up taking didn't just tweak their strategy, it completely saved their entire product roadmap.
So at first, they did what most of us would do. They followed the data. Their analytics, the kind of stuff Delve AI would process, all pointed to one persona, Enterprise Emma. She converted at the highest rate, she had the best initial customer lifetime value. I mean, every single signal said, build for Emma. That's the logical, data-driven choice, right?
But then they did something different. They started digging deeper. They started talking to people, taking that atypical approach. And they uncovered a shocking truth. Yeah, Emma was converting, but she was also churning just 6 months later. And why? Because the product was actually way too complicated for what she really needed. The data showed the initial sale, but it completely missed the long-term failure.
So who was the real hero of this story? Turns out, it was a totally different persona. Startup Steve. Now, the data just saw him as price-sensitive with a lower conversion rate, easy to ignore. But the interviews? They revealed that once Steve signed up, he never left. He had basically zero churn. He became the super user who told all his friends about the product. He was the true advocate.
So the company made a massive, gutsy pivot. They shifted their entire focus away from Emma and onto Steve. They simplified their onboarding, they built the features he was crying out for, and the result? They tripled their customer lifetime value. It's just a brilliant illustration of the power of looking past the surface.
I want you to let this sink in for a second, because this is really the core lesson here. Your website data is fantastic at showing you who clicks the buy button. It shows you who converts. But deep research? That's what tells you who is going to stick around and actually succeed with your product a year from now.
So look, this is not about one tool being good and the other being bad. Not at all. It's about using the right tool for the right job. So let's figure out how this idea helps us build a practical framework, especially when we're thinking about marketing versus product strategy.
Okay, here is the really simple guide for making the decision. If you need to spin up some marketing personas fast to target a new campaign, a tool like Delve AI that just analyzes your existing data is going to be incredibly efficient. But if you're making a huge, high-stakes product decision, like what to build next, you absolutely need that deep understanding to make sure you're on the right track. And that's where something like Atypica comes in.
So to be super specific, you're going to pull out a profiling tool like Delve AI when you need to do things like generate those marketing personas quickly, segment your website visitors, maybe even analyze a competitor's audience, and get really precise with your ad targeting. It's all about optimizing the things you're already doing.
But you turn to a research platform like Atypica for the big foundational questions, the heavy hitters. Like, are we even building the right product? Why do people really buy from us? What huge unmet needs are we completely missing? You know, these aren't just little marketing tweaks. These are the core questions your entire business strategy is built on.
Okay, so all of this leads us to one final powerful idea that I think really ties everything together. We're going to call it the 90% product rule.
So what is this all about? What does this number actually represent? Well, it's the key to making much, much better decisions.
And here it is. For the vast majority of your critical product decisions, we're talking 90% of them, the ones that really define whether you succeed or fail, you have to understand why. Profiling the who is a great first step, but the real, sustainable advantage always comes from knowing the deep motivations that are actually driving your users.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to take back to your own work. Take a hard look at your product, your roadmap, your strategy. Are you building for the user who just converts today? Or are you building for the user who will truly succeed and become your biggest champion for years to come? The answer could change everything. Thanks for watching.